3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff. Atlantis begins another space voyage as it clears the tower.
This was no ordinary mission. The astronauts were about to be in grave danger. On January 8th, 1986, the Challenger rocket shocked the nation when it exploded on live television for all to see. Immediately following the explosion, a long investigation was concluded and revealed that some corners were cut, which led to the failure. Congress debated how to proceed, and they spent billions in today's dollars improving the safety of future missions. The failure occurred with an O-ring seal in the right side solid rocket booster, which could not handle the particularly cold conditions of the launch. 2.5 years later, STS-26 was launched and delivered its satellite payload without much incident. STS-27 would not be so fortunate.
STS-27, consisting of astronauts Robert Gibson, better known as Hoot, Guy Gardner, Mike Mullane, Jerry Ross, and William Shepard, was a mission sent to deliver a new type of satellite, known to be a lacrosse reconnaissance satellite. However, the entire mission has yet to be declassified, so some inaccuracies could be present. We're in luck today, though, because we have an expert on the situation.
We would like to welcome someone very informed on the topic of STS-27.
Okay, yeah, I am Robert Hoot Gibson. I'm a retired Navy captain. I spent 27 years in the Navy, 18 of those years as a NASA astronaut, and have been flying all my life. I have over 14,000 hours of flight time altogether. And have flown over 160 different types of aircraft, helicopters, and so on. So we were carrying an intelligence satellite. We weren't allowed to say even that we had launched a satellite. Although if you went out there at sunrise or sunset, you would see 2 points of light going across in orbit 80 miles apart. And so obviously we launched something. It was the first of its kind, intelligence satellite. And that's about all. That's about all I'm allowed to say about it.
On the second day, Mission Control made contact with the astronauts. They instructed the astronauts to use the robot arm to inspect the fuselage of the spacecraft.
I'll never forget, we brought up the image on our closed circuit television on board. And I said to myself, we are going to die because we had more than 700 damaged tiles. I think the number was 770 tiles that were damaged, some that were somewhat extensively damaged. And we couldn't see it in orbit, but when we landed, we saw that we had lost an entire tile.
Re-entering Earth's atmosphere produces a lot of heat, and these insulating tiles are the lifeline to keep astronauts from getting cooked.
Now here's where the big issue was. Not in the tile damage, but the giant failure on Mission Control's side to say what they were thinking. See, this mission was classified, but you already knew that. What that entails is that any video that had to be sent back to the ground needed to be encrypted.
Department of Defense didn't want any video being downlinked at all, just in case it would accidentally show something secret. And so they resisted the idea of us being able to send down any television whatsoever.
Eventually, they let astronauts send down encrypted video. What this meant was that astronauts had very clear video, while Mission Control had very poor resolution.
What happened down on the ground was they didn't say anything to us. We knew the resolution was not going to be as good as what we had on board. But they looked at it, Mission Control looked at it, and they just concluded that, well, no, these poor dumb astronauts, that's not tile damage. That's just lights and shadows that they're looking at. So it isn't tile damage. Now, they never said those words to us. They never said, you are not seeing tile damage, you're just seeing lights and shadows. Well, you know, what are they forgetting? They're forgetting I've got clear video on board.
So when they called the astronauts back with a conclusion on tile damage, here's what happened.
And they said, it's no problem at all. Just re-enter just like always. And I was incredulous. I couldn't hardly believe it.
Mission Control doubted their idea of damage. They neglected to mention that they did not believe any damage to be present and instead just said it wasn't a problem.
Hoot was reluctant, but since it was considered bad form to argue with your superior, followed the instructions to proceed with the landing as normal, which did not go smoothly.
From Mach 25 times the speed of sound, down to about Mach 10 times the speed of sound, you're surrounded by fire. It's what it looks like. It looks like you're flying through a blowtorch. And all the way down through the heating region, I was watching our flight controls because I knew what I'd see. And that was, if we started to burn through on the right wing would have more drag than the left wing. And to even out the drag, the automatic flight control system would be putting the left elevon down because that creates more drag.
Supposedly, Hoot was planning to give NASA a piece of his mind on exactly what he thought about their analysis in the last minute of his life.
In a separate interview with Hoot, not conducted by us, he said, "I knew that I would have maybe 30 seconds to tell them what I thought of their analysis before we were destroyed during the re-entry." Through a miracle, the orbiter made it down safely.
Everybody surrounded the orbiter and they were all shocked looking at our right wing.
The only reason the shuttle hadn't disintegrated was there just so happened to be a steel plate where the missing tile was. So, if the shuttle had crashed, the shuttle program would have likely been shut down. Remember, this was only the second mission after the Challenger explosion.
I'm sure that the Congress would have said, hey, we just gave you all these millions of dollars and you lost the second mission after you started up again. We can't afford this space shuttle anymore. It would have been the end. You know, it would have been the end of me, but it would have been the end of the program as well. So it was a really close call. Now, where it all came from was the ablative coating on the right-hand booster rocket, on the nose cone of the right-hand booster rocket. I think there was a process deviation when they were putting that coating on, and it wasn't put on correctly. And so when we got going pretty fast during launch, it shredded and came off and showered our right wing with particles. And all they did after the fact was, I think they changed to a different ablative, a little bit stronger ablative. But we didn't do any work on saying, how could we repair tiles if this happens to us again? After the Columbia accident, I think maybe there was a little bit more interest in it.
Now, why this all matters today is because the shuttle program came very close to shutting down. 3 notable things happened after this event that never would have occurred if the Atlantis orbiter had gone down in flames. The Russian Mir space shuttle program, which marked the end of the Cold War, the launching of the International Space Station, and the launching of the Hubble Space Telescope. The replacement for the space shuttle program wouldn't come around until 2015, when the Falcon 9 rocket successfully landed for the first time. Had the shuttle program been shut down, that would be 27 years when the United States didn't have a reusable system to get heavy payloads into orbit.
You've probably heard the expression, you can be talking up a storm and then not really communicating.
A lack of communication almost caused the death of 5 astronauts and a 27-year setback.
I guess one of the lessons too is, okay, don't be shy like I was. Don't be reluctant to ask more questions. Ask lots of questions and make sure you really understand what you're hearing.